Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Jamin Marshall's Wanderlust Journals. Today, I'm very excited. We have Mr. Colt McCannon with us. How's it going, Colt?
It's going good. How about yourself, Jamin?
It's going good. Good. It's been a lovely day. How about down there?
It's been surprisingly chilly for Southern California. Around this time back home in Texas, it's pretty chilly, but wasn't expecting it to be so cold over here around this time.
Yeah, that's
early
crazy.
spring, late winter. It's weird. But yeah, weather's been nice. It's starting to warm up, starting to get into spring temperatures. It's all good.
Cool. Yeah, that was going to be my first couple of questions. Where are you from? Texas. And where you live
Texas.
now? And that's California?
Yes, sir. Southern California.
Whereabouts in Texas are you from originally?
So I was born in Grapevine, Texas, in Tarrant County, and moved to Southlake when I was about a year old. And then I lived in Denton County in a small town called Argyle up until I was 19, and we moved here, Southern California.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right. I wasn't sure if that was a recent relocation or not, so cool.
Yeah, it's somewhat recent.
Yeah. So how old are you then?
I am 20 years old.
Okay.
I'm turning 21 this July.
All right.
A lot of people think I'm much older based off my appearance and how I sound. So
definitely have a deep voice, and that's your voice and your style is something that caught my attention right away when I was listening to your YouTube videos and stuff. Really cool stuff, and I'll put the links to all those songs below as well. But that's something that struck me, and I was going to ask you, what made you gravitate towards the cowboy style and the like cowboy poetry kind of singer-songwriter style?
It's interesting you asked that. It's kind of funny because I used to hate country music and Western music growing up because I just heard it so much. I was like, can we please get something different?
Yeah,
For the love of God, this is all we got here in Texas. But what really made me start to think, oh, this is actually pretty cool. I wonder how I'd do with that and picking up a guitar and everything. I was actually listening to Johnny Cash, One Piece at a Time, and Saskatchewan in 1881 by Colt McCannon. And I was like, this is actually some really cool stuff. Because in Texas, all you got is like the 2014, 2015, like beer chicks, truck beds, and stars kind of country. It's just like, whatever. No one's gonna remember that and all that. But yeah, I just started listening to Colt McCannon, Johnny Cash, Tyler Childers, and that was what kind of sealed the deal for me. I was like, this is some cool shit.
Yeah,
I'd love to do this.
Awesome. And then did you start like picking and singing when you like during this lockdown, or was it before that you got your like started singing and stuff?
Yeah. Today, actually, around this time March last year was the first time I'd picked up the guitar. I've been playing guitar for about a year, and I've been playing and singing for about 6-7 months, around there.
Wow.
So yeah.
Oh, that is incredible. That is incredible. You've come a very long ways. That's amazing. That's really good, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
a lot of my friends.
Striking.
Yeah, a lot of my friends, they would joke about me, telling me you must have sold the devil like Robert Johnson or something like that.
That might be
because that's ridiculous.
Yeah. But you got a natural knack for it, obviously. It takes most people, I'd say, a few years to get to where you are. How did you get in touch with Flail Records and get hooked up with them?
That's kind of it's an interesting story. So back around March, I'd just broken up with my then boyfriend at the time, Caden, and he told me to get on TikTok because he thought I'd do good on that. And so I did, made a bunch of videos, yada yada yada, gained a little bit of a platform. And then I would just go on live and play guitar. That was kind of like my practice time. I'd go on live for 5 hours every night or so, and that whole time it'd just be practice, 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 playing guitar and talking with people. And I made a buddy on there who had a pretty decently sized platform. He still does. His name is Peter Kerouac. He's a really good guy. But he actually made a video telling Flail to look at me, and that kind of shocked me. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I've never met this dude in my life, but he's telling these guys to take a look at me. And so they do. It kind of goes radio silent for a little bit, but both of the videos that I put up duetting his, just showing what I could do, got 200 to 500,000 views. I mean, they just exploded for some reason.
Awesome.
And so I put them up on Instagram, and it was Tejon Street Corner Thieves messaged me on Instagram a little bit later. He got in contact with them and told them to check me out and everything. And so they got in contact with me, and we started talking, and it kind of fell off for maybe about a week or so. And then Connor from Tejon Street Corner Thieves called me one day, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna get you in touch with Scott. And it's within a week they had a deal, and that same week he got, or week and a half, 2 weeks later, got signed after everything came back, and off I went to Colorado.
Yeah, you came out here?
Yeah, I went up to Colorado for about a month and a half. Stayed for about week and a half, 2 weeks up at Connor's place.
Okay.
And then I stayed at my sister's horse ranch in Penrose, Colorado, a little bit further south of the Springs.
Yeah, because I'm in Denver, so.
Oh, that's sick. That's sick.
Yeah.
We actually, me and a friend drove through Denver going to pick up their car from Wyoming. So
Okay.
while I was there.
Yeah. I love it.
Beautiful city.
Yeah. Okay, so that's cool, and I'm really proud to say that we're label mates now. So that's awesome because we're on.
Yeah, man.
That's cool.
We're
Flail is awesome.
yeah.
Scott is amazing.
Oh, Scott's awesome.
So who is, and it's the song is Jamie J. Boone, right? Am I saying that?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So who is that?
Jamie J. Boone it's not a person. There isn't a historical figure named Jamie J. Boone, but I based them off of other Old West just outlaws, Jesse James, Billy the Kid, all these other guys. And I was like, what would be a good way to tell a story of how an outlaw could scare a town, what kind of fear they could bring into a town. And I was going through, and I was just kind of thinking up, brainstorming names that I thought would sound good. And I was like, Jamie J. Boone, that's a pretty, it just kind of clicked. And that was actually the first song that I ever wrote. It was Jamie J. Boone. It was the first one. But
it's excellent. It's got a great story to it. And it gives you that feeling of the bad guy. He's scary.
Yeah. I wanted to just write a straight up Western murder ballad, and I was like, there it is.
Yep. Every country singer, I think, needs one, or a folk singer too. I mean, it works. It's just it's a classic American entity.
For sure.
Yeah, Scott sent me that single, which, by the way, comes out very soon. So what's the exact date that single is going to hit the internet?
It's skipping my mind, if I'm going to be honest.
It's
skipping my mind at the moment, but I believe early April to April 11th.
Okay, so watch for that, everybody. Yeah. Big singles coming out on Flail from Colt McCannon.
Yep.
So, yeah, when you said Saskatoon in the song, I was like, so I'm Canadian as well, Canadian and American, and I did a lot of traveling.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, maybe this is a historical figure. And I looked it up and I was like, no, I think maybe he just
No.
created it. It was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So we covered Texas a little bit, but I wanted to ask you too about, I wanted to touch on, because I watched some of your videos from TikTok and just kind of warning people about certain places not to go, you know, in the South and things like that. And I wanted to touch on
Yeah.
just how important it is now, especially I suppose, but always before too. Something that I always felt passionate about was unity and acceptance. And I've always felt like the punk rock community as a whole was very accepting. And we always tried, at least in Bend, Oregon, where Larry and his Flash started, we always tried to, if there ever was like, you know, the neo-Nazis or anybody coming to shows, they didn't come to shows after that first time. And it was always
Yeah.
like, you know, there's acceptance and there's understanding, but then there are the people like the KKK and the neo-Nazi groups, and there is unfortunately not a lot of talking you can do with those people, right?
Yeah.
You kind of have to avoid them.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
And I feel like it's just very important for people that do have a platform like you to, you know, express yourself and be you and not take shit off of anybody, but also, you know, make people aware that there are people out there that are just full of hatred. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we can do what we can do to help make people, you know, understand and, I don't know, kind of express yourself, but at a certain point you have to steer clear of certain places, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. Yeah. I mean, geez. There was I'm not sure if this town is actually a sundown town. I would have to look it up and do my own research on it. But whenever I was little, because it was just a Texan thing, you go hunting with your kid, right? It was just
Right.
kind of a thing that we did. And it was in this little tiny I mean, I don't even think tiny, I think tiny is an overstatement for this town because there was only one building that you drove through whenever you were in that town, and then it was not that town anymore. It was just thick dense woods.
Yeah.
But it was a tiny town called Ashland, Louisiana.
Hmm.
And that's where the hunting camp was, Lucky 13. And we would go there every winter or so and go hunting. But one day, we took ATVs out, and there was this back section of the woods we were always told to not go to, and we didn't know why. And so we took an ATV trip, just us and a bunch of us kids. We got on our ATVs and we drove out through the woods, and we come across this tiny white church with like red lights coming out of it, and we dip and we're like, because all we had heard about KKK and neo-Nazis and all that other stuff being all over the South, and especially in Louisiana.
Yeah.
um we just and we just decided to fuck off.
Yeah.
Nope the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some places where, I mean, it could be right in your backyard, it could be 200 miles from you, it could be across the country from you, but it's also those same sentiments could be held so close to home and you might never know it. So
Hmm.
that was part of the reason why I made those videos, was to show people, yeah, though those towns may not be the same as they were when they were created, and there may not be as much KKK shit going on in that town now, it still holds a historical sentiment for being a sundown town and a messed up place. And so it was more or less of, I'd rather people be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
I'd rather more people be safe than sorry, because I had the platform to do that and talk about that, and I was like, yeah, now's the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's very important to open people's eyes, and I think this last year did for a lot of people that, you know, white people that are complacent and you know, just they think they're run-of-the-mill normal people, and they don't really leave their little towns, maybe in a somewhat liberal place, and they don't
yeah,
think that that shit exists, but it very much does. And it's very, it hurts me deeply to know that there are so many hateful, misguided people out there that want to do
yeah,
harm to
yeah. It,
gay people, to minorities and whatnot. And it's
yeah. It,
horrifying, you know.
it hurt me too. I mean, every time I made one of those videos, it hurt because I would have to do research and I'd have to literally go down the list of screwed up things that the people in these towns have done.
Yeah.
And I was just like, God damn. Like I I didn't I'd always known that there were people who were capable of that kind of thing because I was super big into history when I was a little kid,
Yeah.
but
What?
never did I ever think that they would be one so close to home and two that that same sentiment was still held today. Like I because when you hear about all that stuff, when I was told about the KKK, I thought of like black and white photos, grainy stuff, really really old stuff. But that's just not the case. There's hate all over this country and all
Yeah.
over the world, and it's still very apparent. It hasn't died. It's still going very strong, sadly.
Yeah. And that's why we have
And
to talk
I
about it.
yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. And I just wanted I wanted to be able to tell people where not to go so they would know where to go,
Yeah.
you know.
Is
So
that part of what led you out to Southern California?
um partially, yeah. Most of the reason was actually for acting. I came out here for acting, and because what better place to go than Hollywood, right?
That's the place. So have you got some gigs, acting gigs?
No.
But shit, the
Not a
music
damn one.
thing's taken off, so that's good.
Yeah, music happened, so I'm very glad for that. But yeah, no, I moved out here to Southern California mostly for acting, and schools out here are much better than schools out in Texas. So my sister Annabelle, she wanted to do better schooling. My mom wanted that for her, so we went out here. And also, yeah, change of scenery and change of people. You know, Texas. It's kind of funny how the word Tejas translates to friends when most of the people I've met in Texas are either A super friendly or B they're just mean sometimes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately that was most of the people in my town. They were nice until you did something they didn't think was okay or said something they didn't think was okay, which in a lot of times was actually the right thing to say, but they thought it was bad, so they just off to the chopping block with you. They don't care. And
Yeah.
so yeah, we just gotten sick of it after 20, 30 years of almost being there. So
Yeah.
got out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you're making music, and I'm glad you're killing it, man. It's great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. It's
Hey,
good to hear that fresh uh perspective from somebody that's young and cares a lot about other people, and isn't just trying to do it for, you know, the glitz and glamour or whatever.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
feels like, you know, even with, like, I can hear in your music, like, even with murder ballad about a fictional bad guy, you still got some like real grit to it, you know. There's a
Mhm.
reality there that you tapped into that's really cool and refreshing. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I try and do that with all my songs in some way or the other. Try and tap into the core of why I'm singing this or something or other, and just try and make it connect with people. Be like, oh, that's cool as shit. I'm gonna listen to that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
So oh yeah, so have you traveled much? Yeah, I guess you haven't really traveled with your music because of it all kind of
Because
happened with COVID, right?
yeah, I haven't been able to travel much. Colorado Springs was the most I've traveled since pandemic.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I haven't really. I mean, I've traveled a lot prior to the pandemic. I've been all over the United States.
Cool.
So but yeah, no. Not since pandemic.
Yeah. Well, you'll get out there and you're gonna kick some major ass, I'm sure. So
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah,
I
absolutely. I
appreciate
mean,
it.
yeah, and you're hooked up with the right people, like really good. Like Flail is awesome. Like I said, Scott and those guys, they're all so kind, And I think,
Yeah.
go the core value that's missing when we're talking about, you know, bad people out there that want to do harm to people that aren't the same as them. It's just kindness. It just comes down to kindness and some level of understanding. That's what's missing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you meet people that are just basically kind and understanding, everything can grow from there. So I think that it's really good that you happened upon the right people to
Yeah.
get into music
Yeah.
because honestly, hearing like your talent, uh, just from the get-go, it's like you could get fucked over by a greedy
Oh,
record label real easy.
I'm aware. Luckily, I didn't go into it totally blind. I
Yeah.
knew some sense of what to look for through a few other good buddies of mine who are also musicians on TikTok. Really, really good friend of mine, Cooper Graham. He's awesome. His music is fucking great. We're working on a song together right now. One of the best dudes I've ever met on that app. But he gave me a little bit of insight, and he was like, here's what you got to look out for. Here's what's good, here's what's bad, and all that other stuff. But yeah, I was really grateful to get that prior to talking with Flail or just anyone really.
Yeah,
But
you
yeah.
have to educate yourself or have somebody that knows kind of walk you through it.
Yeah.
There's a million ways
Yeah.
that they can screw you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Yeah, we
sure.
ran into a little bit of that early on, but almost all of our catalog is ours still. So
Hell yeah.
that's something. After
That's cool as shit.
17 years, yeah, of doing
Not
it.
a lot of musicians can say all their shit is theirs.
Yeah, it's rare after that
Yeah.
long. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, you're with the right people for sure. So that's good.
Well, I'm glad I am.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Hell
So
yeah.
what's your favorite? You said you traveled a bit, and that I think that shows in the level of your songwriter writing and maturity that it all plays into it, I think. But
Mm.
so what's one of your favorite towns in America?
Oh God.
It's hard to pick
I'd
favorites.
have to go with. I'm sorry.
It's hard to pick favorites sometimes, but
Yeah, it's hard to pick favorites, but most memorable place I'd have to say is Seattle, Washington, and
okay.
Bainbridge Island. Bainbridge Island, just because, good lord, it's so pretty there, and the little pebble beaches and everything. It feels like I'm standing in like some fantasy land.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember going there when I was 9 because my biological father was coaching baseball up there, and every day I'd be so excited to go to Bainbridge. I'd get so excited. So that was the most memorable place, and I made one friend there and I never got back in touch with him. But yeah, that was the most memorable place. Just all the markets, especially the sea market, everything. It's just it's so cool. I love Seattle.
Yeah, me too. Seattle's awesome. We've always had a good reception there too, as far as goes. Yeah. Do you think that punk rock and folk music have a common ethos, or?
I'd say so. Yeah. To an extent, yeah. Because folk grew out of a lot of just coal miners out in the Appalachian Mountains. That's where we get folk music from.
Yeah.
Just Poorman's music and everything. They're just like, fuck the government, fiddly diddly dee.
You're right.
I mean, what?
Yeah, good point. Good point.
To an extent, they both kind of come from the same thing.
Yeah. Yep. And it's fast.
But
generally speaking.
Yeah, and it's really, really fast.
A lot faster than a lot of punk rock, actually. Like if you put drums to that fiddle work in those songs in the old days, it would
pick up pretty fast. Yeah.
Excellent.
Tempo get going pretty fucking fast.
Yeah. Barn dances and shit.
Fucking love those.
Yeah. We'll get back there someday. What are your main musical influences like right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
Shit, I'd have to say C.W. McCall, Johnny Cash, Colter Wall, Tyler Childers, Charlie Crockett, T-Hone, fucking good lord, the list goes on. Uncle Lucius. It could go on for hours if I wanted it to.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's a great list to start on. I'm familiar with most of those, but a couple of them I'm not, so I will check them out. So yeah, man, it's been very good to meet you virtually, and I look forward to meeting you in person when you come out and play here in Denver. And I just wanted to say again, remind everybody at home that on Flail Records, Colt McCannon's new album will be out
May 1st.
May 1st. All right. Look for that, everybody. Thank you again, Colt. Thanks so much for talking to me. And
thank you.
Hopefully we'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Good to meet you too. All right. Have a good one.
All right. You too.